Hello everyone. This tutorial is for the data processing on exercise 3, transect sampling in a coastal forest. So what I have here is some example data. Presumably we went out and we measured our transects, counted up how many of each plant that we found on our intercepts, and here is the compiled data. On the left, we've got the class data that was taken from 0 and 5 meters. All right, so we've combined how many of each plant we found at those distances. And then we compiled how many plants of each type that we found at both the 15 and the 20 meter. The reason we do this is because 0 and 5 is well within the disturbed area, and 15 and 20 is well within the undisturbed area, and we want to compare the two. So we figure out relative abundance. That's relatively simple. That's n, our number of individuals, divided by the total number of samples taken. We then do all the math for the Simpson's index. We've covered this before, and that gives us our Simpson's diversity index down here. So that gives us relative abundance and Simpson's diversity for the plants in each of the plots. So you can see that our disturbed plot in this case had a much lower diversity than our undisturbed plot. Got more species represented, and they're more evenly distributed as far as their relative abundance. Whereas in our disturbed plot, it is almost exclusively grasses. So now we want to visualize this. If we go to the next tab, we've got a little chart here for you to fill in. So what we need to do is come here to our raw data, and we can go ahead and if we do Control C, or if we right click and hit copy, we can shift between these tabs, all right, and then paste these in. One of the things you have to watch out for though is now we're looking for the relative abundance. Once we copy it, if we come over here and we just paste it in regularly, we get this value error message. What you need to do is right click or command click and click on the 1, 2, 3 icon there. That's going to give you just the values. So this is only bringing the value over, not the formula that was there to figure it out. And so you'll get the actual value and not just an error message. So our grasses, we had the same plant here, so we can go ahead and we can copy and paste that same one in. All right. And we can keep going back and forth. Until you've put in all of your relative abundances for each of your species. Or we can use the magic of editing and we can snap our fingers and magically everything is now filled in. So change the color of this just to not confuse people. Right. So now we want to graph our relative abundance. So what we're going to do is we are going to highlight our plant data. Notice I put in zeros for the huckleberry and the rhodora because they were not present in that 0 to 5 meter distance. So we're going to go up here, we're going to go to Insert, and we're going over to our charts. We're going to select the column or bar chart. And we're going to look at we're going to select a 2D column. So, like the last time we did a graph, we're going to get rid of some things. We're going to get rid of the chart title, and we're going to get rid of the grid lines. The legend and the colors are all set here. So, what we need to do is we need to change these from being numbers to being the actual So like most things in Excel, there's two ways to do that. We want to select our graph, and we want to go ahead. We can either right click or command click, and they should come up and say, you'll see where it says select data. Or you can come up here and if we go to our design, you can come over here and you can hit select data. What we're interested in is the horizontal category, so we're going to go ahead and click edit, and then we're going to highlight our names of our plants over here. We hit OK, hit OK again, and there they are. So it shows our different plants. Now, remember, we always want to label our data, so we need to make sure and have our axes labeled. So we're going to come up here. Okay, we can do that there, or we can do it at design, right? Add a chart element, and what we want is we want to have axis titles. So we can go ahead and we can click on that. Then we go in and we can change those. All right, to plant type. And relative abundance. Oops, except that it does not need two B's. So now we've got our data in here, we've got our axes labeled, we have our two different data sets very easily distinguished from each other. So what becomes evident from our data is that there's a very different plant community composition between our disturbed area and our undisturbed area. Well, thank you for listening. We'll see you in lab.